Factz with Adam Curry for November 25th, 2019. This is episode number 16. Oh! Now that's an opening. And happy 4th month anniversary, Mo.
Yeah, we got, what's that, 16 shows? It's 4 months?
Yeah.
Give or take some change?
Yeah, pretty much. We're moving and grooving along here.
And man, I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Yeah, ditto, my friend. Ditto. So today, what is today? It's the 25th of November, 2019. Yes. We got a brand new Moe Factz with Adam Curry lined up for you. And, we discussed what the topic would be, which would be, I think, looking at the clips, we are deconstructing Colin Kaepernick. Is that right?
Yes, I've waited to broach this topic because I knew it was going to be an ever-evolving story ever since he came onto the scene. And I think we reached somewhat of a climax with the story.
Oh, okay. So, you mean the story's ending? It's over? That's it? It's done?
Well, I think there will be one more final scene, like with any good movie. You know, you have I think what they call it, it's like right after the climax.
Oh, the epilogue.
Yes, so epilogue? I think we'll have that portion still left.
Okay,
but I think now we've reached the climax. I think he's completely done with the NFL, and I think both sides are happy about that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I mean, and preface for this, I'm not a sports guy, so I don't know really much other than some of the stuff we've looked into with the social justice warrior angle. So I hope to learn a lot today.
So I'm glad you're not a sports fan and I didn't make any assumptions. So what we're going to do is build up from the very moment that he refused to stand all the way up to where we're at as of today.
Oh, perfect. Excellent.
All right, so let's get right into it. Refuse to stand.
It's the rare occasion when sports and politics collide, and an NFL quarterback has certainly ignited a firestorm. We're talking about Colin Kaepernick. He's the San Francisco 49ers quarterback, and he's been refusing to stand for the national anthem before all 3 preseason games in protest. Ron's here with the reason behind his activism, and this reaction has been swift from every side.
It really has. Kaepernick, who just a few years ago, 3 years ago, led the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl, is well known for speaking out on social issues, but what he's doing now as a protest over police killings of African Americans is drawing a huge reaction, condemnation from many, and support from others. This morning, the spotlight on football star Colin Kaepernick for taking a stand by refusing to stand. The San Francisco 49ers quarterback remaining seated during the playing of the national anthem at 3 preseason games. A protest, he says, over police brutality against African Americans. Kaepernick saying in an interview, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color." Adding, "To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way."
Yeah, this is how most people were introduced to Colin Kaepernick's social actions. But, of course, we know there's a little bit more behind the story because I think he was just sitting down because he was tired and wasn't in the game, if I recall correctly.
Actually, let me give a little timeline prior to him sitting. Okay, so on June 4th, Colin Kaepernick signed a record 6-year extension for $126 million. Mm-hmm. That was June 4th on 2014. Then he had some problems in San Francisco during that season. And in November 2nd, 2015, he was benched. And then that's when we came into February 26, 2016. He asked for a trade. And then he came back the following season. That was the August 26, 2016, and he was noticed sitting, notice keyword sitting, during the national anthem.
Right. Sitting, not kneeling, sitting on the bench. You're right. I remember now.
And that's going to be a very important detail, and we're going to get to that. But it was captured by Jennifer Lee Chan, and she was the photographer for the San Francisco 49ers. And she captured a picture of him and tweeted it out of him sitting at the back of the bench. He was in the very, very back on the sideline, sitting on the bench while the other players were standing for the national anthem. So up to this point, he's taking a seat. From what I thought was, I think he was just being a malcontent because he wasn't the starter anymore. He had some problems with injury, and I just think that this is my personal opinion, because I follow sports, that I just took it as him, like I said, being a malcontent because he didn't have the starting role that he was used to.
Right, and like a baby.
Pretty much, he was pouting.
Like, pouting, yeah, there you go. I like malcontent, sounds so official.
So, Harry Edwards, we have to look and see who he is because he's important to the story.
Sociologist Harry Edwards has been an activist from the day he realized that sport wasn't the toy department of human life. Edwards, a professor emeritus at Cal Berkeley, was the chief organizer of the Olympic Project for Human Rights and a guiding force behind John Carlos and Tommie Smith's 1968 Olympic protests. Decades later, he's advised Colin Kaepernick on his protests and publicly advocated for the quarterback's return to the NFL. A former basketball player at San Jose State, Edwards first organized protests at his alma mater. Over the years, he's worked for a number of sports teams and leagues, consulting on issues of diversity. Because of his outspokenness, he's received death threats and been viewed by the FBI as a national security threat. As Edwards said recently, the last words out of his mouth will probably be, "I protest." He's done it his whole life, changing the sports world in the process.
Right, and I think Kaepernick was friends with him or talked with him or took advice from him.
Well, he was Kaepernick's quote-unquote mentor.
There you go.
Or advisor, or if you're from the school of thought I have, handler.
Nice. Yes, of course.
I honestly believe Colin Kaepernick is a useful idiot, and some have used the term I've heard in the conspiracy realm of a MK
Ultra. I'm
yes.
Sorry. Oh, nice.
So, but we know for sure Mr. Harry Edwards has been advising him, and it makes nothing but sense if he advised him on taking the seat, because as they mentioned in the previous clip, he advised Carlos Edwards, and I forget the other gentleman's name, to make the protest at the '68 Olympics with the black fist.
Right, the black power fist. Yep.
Yeah, so he was the brains behind that. So this is where we are. So in the next clip, we're going to hear Mr. Harry Edwards speak on Colin Kaepernick.
So what's the next step for modern day athletes in what you call the struggle?
Now the thing is power, and the issue becomes for them, how do we frame it up so that we can move forward and make our contribution? Right now, Colin Kaepernick, San Francisco 49ers, a team that I've been with for 31 years, is the face of that effort. We have a lot of work to do in terms of trying to figure out exactly where this is going to end up in terms of the framing.
And how are you helping him frame that?
Well, basically, it's an ongoing conversation. He's very, very bright. Colin is very, very bright. He's very, very committed. More than anything else, he wants to have a constructive impact. He understands the evolution of this movement in athletics going back to the pre-World War II years. He's aware of that. More than anything else, I try to answer his questions and to put everything in perspective and give him a broader handle on exactly where he is and what he's involved in, and as much as anything else, the price, the cost of what he is doing. And he's good with all of that.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So he's been briefed on what it's like to be an activist. And I got to say two things about that. First of all, Harry Edwards looks badass. I'm looking at his picture on Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. He's bad. Mm-hmm. He's like a Shaft guy. He's got
he
his
does
shades
do that
on.
Shaft vibe
He's
with the
got
sunglasses
a Shaft vibe, yeah.
And the goatee.
Yeah, and second, he keeps saying Colin. What's up with that?
I caught that too.
What's up with that?
I don't know if that's just a weird pronunciation of his name, but I picked up on that as well. But he says Colin, I almost said Colin myself. Colin was aware of the price that it was going to cost him.
Right.
When we look at Colin Kaepernick, and I have to say this, up until this point, before him taking the seat, he was not known, or a little bit before taking the seat, he wasn't known as a activist.
No, he was a GQ pretty boy.
Yes, that's what he was known for. Even to the point where I can't find a picture, and I've challenged anybody that I've talked to. I will give them $100 to find Colin Kaepernick in a Trayvon Martin hoodie, because that was the easiest protest to have on your social media account. To when Trayvon Martin was killed, one of the protests you saw was people taking pictures with the hoodie on.
Right.
You saw it even all the way up to Congress. I mean, politicians, everybody. But I cannot find one single picture of Colin Kaepernick with the hoodie on.
Now,
and that's strange to me.
Now, do you have a Trayvon hoodie?
No.
Okay. Why would he have one? Because that was what everybody was doing.
It was everybody. It was almost like a challenge, that kind of vibe that you had to, when people change their filter on their icons.
Oh, okay.
On social media.
Yes. Yeah. I got you.
It was that kind of thing. It was like, so for him to be a so-called quote unquote activist, a social justice warrior, and that to be absent, I think that speaks to that he is new to this game.
Right. It's okay. Agreed. That makes sense. I do have a picture of. I'm trying to get my $100. I have a picture of him in a hoodie, but it's his own hoodie. It's the Dear Racism, I'm Not My Grandparents. Sincerely, these hands. Okay.
Yeah. So you can post that. You can find pictures even with him with Trayvon Martin's parents. But at the time on his social media, I haven't found it anywhere, and nobody has collected $100. So,
gotcha.
So now we have to look at who all has a vested interest in Colin Kaepernick being an activist. There's a few people that I want to bring to light that people may not be aware of. One of them being Miss Nessa Diab, which is Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend.
It's always the girlfriend. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the next clip about her, I want to give a little a little background on how they got together. Well, Nessa Diab used to date Colin Kaepernick's teammate, Alden Smith. And there was reports, and I didn't want to get into the gossipy side too much of the story. I wanted to keep it just on the activism and the political side that we normally pay attention to. But they supposedly got into a fight, and it was well reported on several sports news stations. They got into a locker room fight, and the root cause was behind she started dating Colin and broke it off with Alden. So that's how they came about. So let's just get into some background on Miss Nessa Diab.
So, I understand that you're dating Colin Kaepernick. We're talking about him a lot these days. He is amazing. What are your thoughts on him sitting and the kind of the controversy that's surrounding?
I support him 100%, and I think it's amazing that he's able to exercise his freedom of speech. And I think that that's what makes being an American amazing, is that we can be open and we can say these things. And this is something that's important. And I think that we should use this to have open dialogue and take steps to make this country a better place to live in.
Now, did y'all have like a conversation before this? Did you know it was coming?
None.
Did you think he ever anticipated it would blow up this big? Because, you think it's not that serious.
Colin truly feels this. He lives this. And it's from his heart. And that's what makes this so beautiful, because this wasn't pre-planned.
Oh my God, that is amazing!
I couldn't resist, man. There were 4 amazings in there, and
I knew you were going to do it.
And there was it's all kinds. That's just me. I'm paying attention to how people speak.
it's important that you caught that because we have to do the background on Miss Nessa Diab.
Okay.
She's from Cal Berkeley. As well as Mr. Harry Edwards.
Gotcha.
She was a star student. She started Cal Berkeley at 17.
Did she take sociology classes from the professor?
Communications.
Oh, okay.
Communications.
All right.
She's a popular DJ on one of the popular urban radio stations in New York. She
what is that?
Worked with MTV.
KTU? BLS?
I think it was Power
95?
Yes, Power 95.
92 maybe.
I don't quote me at that, but one of the major two. I think it's 106 or 95. One of the major two. She was a DJ there. She was on the popular show Girl Code on MTV.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Have
you ever seen that Girl Code show?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's jarring.
It's a fine piece of mind control they have going there.
There you go. That's it. Yes.
So in this clip, she says that her and Colin didn't discuss this, which if either way I read it, if you want to believe that they didn't discuss this, then this was just a spur of a moment thing he had going and had no plan as what people want to paint it as to be. Oh, he had this grand plan to bring social awareness.
All right.
But I don't believe that. I believe that it was discussed because just a little foreshadowing here. She's going to play a very active role in this protest as we start going down the clips here. So I don't think she just got pulled in at the last minute.
All right. So this is a data point of you saying, as we unfold the mind control or whatever, she could also be a sub-handler, I guess is what we're saying here.
We're going to get there.
As always, I'm ahead.
Put on the goggles. Put on the the future restricting goggles.
Hold on. I think, yes, I do have to put those on. Here they are. Let me put my glasses on. 1 second. Takes a minute. Okay.
Thank you.
The future is now black.
Okay. Right on.
Inside joke. Nice. Okay. All right.
So there was one more influence that the media doesn't talk about, and that is the transgender female Mia Isabella.
The other name that you get linked up with a lot, and it's especially been happening more because he's been in the news, is Colin Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you're going to be addressing on the podcast? Is there a story to address there?
I'll take my time with that.
Yeah.
That's somebody that I respect extremely.
You actually have
care for extremely. I think it's an incredible person. The braveness that he's showing now, I admire, and I feel like I maybe had something to do with making him feel bold enough to be the kind of person he's become lately.
How did you do that?
We had a great friendship, great connection, and we talked a lot. I'll say that. During the Tyga situation, someone saw some kind of social media.
By the way,
footprints.
I should point out something that you were like, okay, I had this plan with Tyga, and it was.
And I just
if we ever got exposed, we would just tell everybody that we were really good friends.
Oh shit!
And then I was like, hey, what about Colin Kaepernick? And you're like, well, I'll say we're just really good friends. I'm like, okay, well, that kind of explains that one away.
You can take it how you want it, I guess.
Right.
Okay, this is interesting. Mia Isabella, you set her up as a transgender. She's a transgender pornographic actress.
Well, I wouldn't know all that.
Well, I mean, I'm doing show notes these days, and I'm doing the wiki page, and here it is, Mia Isabella.
Right, show notes, right.
An American transgender, former pornographic actress, and she won her last AVN award, which is the Adult Video Awards. Oh, no, she won an X-Biz award in 2014. I guess she quit the biz after that one. She left on a high note.
Well, my question is, just I'm going to take it from the intersectionality standpoint. Why is she not all over the news?
She would be perfect, right?
Right. Like, Colin stands with the transgender community.
Yeah.
I think I know why, because that would hurt him in other demographics.
Black men who watch football?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I can understand that. Sure.
So just leading up to the next clip, how was she made not to be in the spotlight?
But you think you inspired him to be bold?
He inspired me. I think even during the situation that I was going through, this was a person who made sure to keep in contact with me and made sure to kind of just make me feel like I could stand up to anything. And I think it was probably an important moment for him as well, to see how the world was reacting to me and how people were kind of just really trashing me, and how I was still trying my best to stand as tall and represent and protect people. I was at a really extremely low point. I was frightened.
Is that because it was after the Tyga stuff was all
I was
happening?
Frightened during the Tyga. I mean, I was so afraid of what was happening. I didn't know what was going on. Like I said, when you're dealing with crisis management people contacting you, and attorneys and PR people and all the media, like every show out there, I'm on TMZ, I'm on I see all this stuff happening, and I'm just like, what in the world is going on?
All right, I missed something. I missed the Tyga fight. What did I miss?
Okay, so Tyga is a rapper.
Well, thanks, Mo. Give me a little bit of credit, just a teeny bit of credit, okay?
So I'm giving his title. Who used to date Kylie Jenner?
Oh,
so
right.
then
Okay.
Mia Isabella came out and somehow got linked to Tyga.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the whole whirlwind started up about her with Tyga, and she, like she said, crisis managers, attorneys, TMZ.
Brother.
And I'm asking myself, Tyga is nowhere big as a celebrity as Colin Kaepernick is.
So why didn't he have all the crisis management going on?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when something is missing,
it's meant to be there on purpose.
When something is like, I mean, that's why I played that last clip to show you that's the normal course of these things happening. And Tyga's a way smaller celebrity, as I stated before, than Colin Kaepernick. So you would expect the same thing. TMZ would be knocking down her door. They would be chasing her around, trying to put a microphone in her face. What you know about Colin? What you know about Colin? But none of that happened.
How do you know?
Why?
How do you know that Tyga or that Colin is a much bigger celebrity? I mean, it's hard. It's hard for me to see sports guys at a music celebrity level, but that's just me because I don't have that background.
It's because he crossed over. I mean, he was a pretty big star, just being a sports star. But even now, he's bigger than he was when he played football.
Got it. No, I'm not questioning it. I'm just trying to understand. Yeah. All right.
He's a social media superstar now.
Got it.
I mean, even his silhouette is
iconic at this point. Yeah, iconic. Yeah.
Iconic.
And designed as such.
Exactly. So just getting off of the background people, I just want to lay all those people out there, and just to say who was in his circle.
A nice crowd. He's got a bunch of good friends.
Why are there people missing from the story? Why are there people that's highlighted in the story? And then we're going to see, how they all play out in the future. But I just want to do the background there and lay down the foundation there. So now we have to ask, why was it such a big deal that he took a knee during the national anthem? Do you have any clue or ideas?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Mo. And the reason why I do is because we looked at this story on No Agenda, and the biggest problem is it's a television show, and the television show is paid for by sponsors, and a big one around the time of the anthem is the United States military, who pay millions of dollars to have jets fly over and soldiers marching on the field and flags and all kinds of stuff.
Number 7.
There's a scheme involving the Pentagon that Congress is trying to shut down. It's called paid patriotism. We're talking about millions of dollars that are being funneled from the Pentagon to professional sports teams around the country every single year. In return, these sports teams honor American soldiers and they promote the military at their sporting events. I guess you could think of it as sort of like product placement. You know, Jose, you're watching your favorite YouTube video. Might not seem like a commercial, but in the back there's a perfect can of Bud Light just facing right towards you. That wasn't an accident. It is a commercial that these advertisers want to put in your face without you knowing that it's actually an advertisement that you're watching. This is sort of the same thing. According to John McCain, who actually looked really into it, and that in itself is surprising that Republicans are going after this. I think that's awesome. Anyway, according to John McCain, who's now our Senate Armed Services Committee chairman, since 2012, the Pentagon paid at least $6.8 million in contracts to teams in the NFL, the MLB, NHL, and the MLS, Major League Soccer. Yes, there is a soccer league in this country.
Yeah, that's less than I thought. That was for 1 year?
Yeah, and it says, I think that number
it goes to the NFL.
Way bigger.
Yeah, it goes to the NFL, not the teams, right? It goes to the NFL.
Right, because then they had these individual deals.
Yeah, well, they own the television rights. Yeah, the NFL owns the TV rights. So yeah.
Right. So per action, per team, there was still more money being funneled to the teams. Like if you recognize this particular person, we'll give you $20K. I mean, I've done my study and my homework.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just not. I mean, it's bigger than me saying it
has to be. Has to be. Yeah.
Then it has to be. So so let's just get into the second part of this clip.
I have the number here. The New York Jets football team received $20,000 from the Pentagon. For what? Just to recognize one or two New Jersey Army National Guard soldiers at halftime, kind of hailing them as hometown heroes. I've seen that at games before. They kind of come in and they say their names and everyone applauds. But I didn't know that the Pentagon was secretly paying for these kinds of things. Yeah. Now, I'm all for, promotion of the military. I don't mind if I'm watching television and I see those commercials for the Marines or whatever. I think it's necessary. I don't blame them. Everyone does that. But at the same time, if the Pentagon's doing it in a way that we don't know, kind of like how Bud Light sneaks their little cans in there, I almost feel like they're trying to brainwash the masses. I don't know. Am I looking into this too much? Am I being too sensitive? I just think it's weird that they kind of do it in this secretive way. It kind of changes how they're going about it, and it's weird.
Yeah, we call this native advertising. It's been around for a while. And it's, of course, the whole point is to be subversive, to sneak it in. And since we're talking about mind control, it's totally what it is.
And so sports is almost synonymous with war. If you listen to the terminology, you got the bomb, you got the blitz.
Yeah.
The
wishbone. That's not
the
military.
gridiron. I mean, a lot of the wishbone.
I'm just making stuff up.
A lot of the terms are
military terms, of course.
A military term.
You got uniforms, you're fighting, fight. Yes, of course. But this is human nature, and humans need this. This is what the Romans figured out. We need games. We need to, otherwise we're going to go beat each other up.
Bread and circuses.
Bread and circus, yeah.
And this is where a lot of people got pissed off at Colin Kaepernick, and I was one of them. Don't interject politics into my
football
mind control.
Yes, you'd like to buy the Gatorade and all the other stuff that they're mind controlling you with, but not the politics part. That's going too far.
Not even. It's okay. I have to admit, I'm a huge fantasy sports guy. Fantasy football, fantasy basketball, and for 3 to 4 hours a week, it allows me to unwind and not think about anything else that's going on in the world, except my little fantasy team and my group of 11 other guys that I have our fantasy league with, and we kind of go back to childhood, right?
Well, you can ask me all you want, but I'm not into fantasy anything. Well,
right.
But of course, I understand. Yeah, I totally get that.
So when you start injecting
bull crap
into my mental escape, because that's what it is. I mean, television is. I mean, we all have. I mean, even though I'm probably one of the most aware people when it comes to mind control and propaganda and all these things, we all have that little thing that we tap into. That's our escape.
Yeah,
for a few hours,
for sure.
Whether it's reality TV show or whatever. So mine is sports. So I can empathize with people that say, "What the hell are you doing, man? don't want to talk about social justice issues or politics during my 3-hour football game. It had nothing to do with what he was protesting. You even had the people bring this up with the breast cancer and the guys wearing pink. Like, why are they wearing pink for? But I mean, it's not
pink
like
socks, pink shoes. Sure.
Yeah. So but it's not something there's no breast cancer people out there. So it's not. I mean, it's not like it's polarizing.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
So you have this propaganda going on at the pre-game, and then you have this guy is the fly in the ointment interrupting that. So something had to change. So the question was why Colin Kaepernick took the knee.
What was your initial response when you saw that Colin Kaepernick sat for the national anthem?
I'll be completely honest. My initial response was anger, I was angry and disappointed because I grew up a Niner fan and I was pulling for this guy. And now he just pissed on my flag. But then I just stopped making all these judgments and tried to listen to what he's talking about. Specifically, is police brutality. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I want to try to understand where he's coming from, at least somewhat, because I haven't walked around in his shoes, but he hasn't walked around in my boots. You know what I mean? So I just wrote a letter and he got a hold of it.
He contacted you?
Yeah, he contacted me. He said he was inspired by it and he was wanting to sit down with me, just have a discussion. First thing he said when we met was, hey, I just want you to know I appreciate your service more than anything.
I expressed to him, maybe there's a different way to demonstrate where you're showing more respect for those that lay down their lives for what that flag and anthem stands for. I suggested, kneeling, because people kneel to pray. We'll kneel in front of a fallen brother's grave.
To show respect. He said, I think that would be really powerful.
Colin Kaepernick choosing not to sit on the bench this time, but to take a knee.
The fact that he was willing to listen and go to a knee versus sitting, I thought was huge. That's an important step that he's taken. I think other people need to take a step too and maybe listen to him.
Yeah, I remember this, and this is, for me, the weirdest link in the story, because I believe this is a Green Beret, if I'm correct. And the Green Beret is the one who urged him, instead of sitting, which was not in protest, because, that's obvious, because he was pouty. So I'm not sure what what's the guy's name, the Green Beret?
Nate Boyer.
Nate Boyer. He fits in somehow, but it's never really been investigated until today, hopefully.
Oh, we're gonna go to all the way into Mr. Nate Boyer. But
good.
Now, Adam, I'm this super woke social justice warrior, and here comes this Green Beret Army guy telling me, "Hey, you don't need to be sitting down. You need to take a knee." And I say, "Oh yeah, okay,
good idea."
That doesn't sound very plausible to me at all. So we have to get into who is this Nate Boyer character?
Why him? Why Nate Boyer? With a controversy that straddled both football and patriotism. Why was his perspective so unique?
He was actually interested in joining the military right out of high school, but after 9/11, he really wanted to join the Special Forces. He wanted to become a Green Beret. He was deployed initially to Iraq. He got out of the Army for a short period, and that's when he applied to University of Texas.
Boyer wasn't your typical college player. He tried to make the Longhorns football team as a 31-year-old walk-on.
An older guy that wasn't a tremendous athlete, that didn't play high school football, that wants to join a national championship program. Come on now.
Huh.
Yeah, come on now.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
31 years old.
And wants to join the Longhorns?
The national championship level Longhorns team.
Yes.
And he somehow walks on as a long snapper, which is probably the least important position on a football team.
All right, you got to explain. The long snapper. Okay, it's when someone's for field goal. For field goal, I'm just guessing.
Yeah, for field goal and punts. That's nice. The guy. Hey, that's the guy that hikes the ball back to the kicker or the guy that's holding the ball for the other guy to kick.
Yeah, that's
his only job.
I never realized that wasn't the regular quarterback who does that.
Center.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Center. Yeah. Oh, of course, it's the center. Oh, yeah.
But he's a special type of center.
Yeah,
which is
I understand.
called a long snapper.
Yeah, because he does one thing very well.
That's it. All you gotta do is get the ball back in
the guy's hands.
Right, and they let this 31-year-old walk-on Green Beret Special Force guy, soldier, get the job.
And he'd never played organized football in his life.
Ever. That's not suspicious at all. Nate Boyer, too.
And he said, you're losing your first and second team deep snappers, and I can do that. And I said, have you ever done it? He said, no, never done it a day in my life, but I'm going to take a ball coach, and I'm going to go to Afghanistan, and I'm going to practice every day, and I'll come back as your deep snapper. And I thought, come on, Nate, this isn't going to work.
Long snapper, number 37, Green Beret, Nate.
He started on every snap for the next 3 years. We had him take an American flag on the field every time we would come out. He became a team leader.
Many college football players have their summers off. Boyer spent his with the Special Forces in Afghanistan. After his college career ended in 2014, the 34-year-old former Longhorn had another long shot in mind, earning a spot on an NFL roster.
He called and said, Coach, do you think I'll be drafted? And I said, I'm going to be honest with you. It's unlikely for you to make it because of your size and because of your age.
In the 2015 preseason, Boyer got his NFL shot with the Seahawks. In his only NFL game, he carried the American flag onto CenturyLink Field.
Oh, okay. Here's what I think. Sounds to me like this guy was doing a little bit of native advertising for the United States military. And they placed him initially with the Longhorns, which, and, by the way, I live in Austin. It's a fine military industrial complex city. Lots of spooks, lots of stuff going on, lots of retired military. So it sounds like he was a part of his gig was promoting America and military on the field.
And it worked for both parties because now you have this guy, and they showed in this piece that I snagged the clip from, which was from the NFL channel, NFL Films. He's at the combine, and that's where you have the potential players that's coming up for the draft. And there's this huge gaggle of press around him. Now he's a 34-year-old long
snapper.
Undersized, not my words. That was Mac Brown's words from the Longhorns. Undersized, 34 years old. Which at 34 years old, you're
over the hill.
You're
right?
at the end. At the end of your prime for professional football players.
Now, did you already find this very suspicious in putting together your fantasy team? I'm sure you didn't include the shill.
No, I found it very. As I started peeling back the layers, because as soon as I saw Colin Kaepernick in the news for making a political stance, I was like, what? Colin Kaepernick? I mean, that would be the first. Let me be honest with you. I'm gonna be completely 100% honest with you. My first thing was Colin Kaepernick is black.
You thought it was like some kind of Drake?
I thought he was very racial. I'm gonna use his term, racially ambiguous. I mean, he could be Hispanic, he could be Arab. I mean, you didn't know. I mean, when you saw him, especially when he has his hair cut short, that's how he wore it when he was.
Yeah, he looks much more Hispanic than
right. So I was like, that was my first thing that took me back. I'm like, he's black, and then after that, I'm like, he like you said, he's the GQ model.
Yeah,
he wasn't concerned with because you have certain players in the NFL that are known for being outspoken on social issues. You have Michael Bennett. You had what's the guy from Seattle Seahawks? I forget his name, but it's a few of them that you know. But he not this guy, not Colin Kaepernick.
Is he?
So I started digging.
Is Kaepernick ADOS?
I don't know what he is. The reason why I say that is His mother is white, which that doesn't matter.
Right.
And they don't speak of his father, and he was adopted by a white family, I think, at 5 weeks old. So, I mean, we don't know much about his history, which it doesn't matter. I mean, in the grand scheme of things,
no.
It was just...
Because this is the Moe Factz show.
Yeah, it was just shocking that he was black, period.
Right.
I mean, because... And the reason why... Let me explain why I say this, because for people like, what does it matter? When a black quarterback comes in the NFL...
That's a big deal.
Usually... They label it as a black quarterback. I mean, because the
yeah. So you can. Wait. So we have. Didn't we have a Super Bowl in recent memory with 2 black quarterbacks, and they made a big deal out of it?
Yes, and every time a black quarterback goes to the Super Bowl, they make a big deal out of it. Every time a black quarterback is drafted, they make a big deal out of it, because the usual MO is the black quarterback is going to play a certain style of football. And that was knock against the black quarterback, because they were like, in the 70s and 60s, is they don't have the mental capacity to play the position, you know. So
really,
yeah,
I'm laughing,
yeah,
but
seriously,
you even did it with a sports announcer voice. I like that. Well, clearly, these Afro-Can Americans don't have the mental capacity for quarterbacking.
That was the justification. So we were very sensitive when a black quarterback comes into the NFL. So that's what took me back about Colin Kaepernick. So then when the Green Beret thing came up, I'm like, hold on. And then you're supposed to be this so-called quote unquote radical. Then you let a military guy come in and tell you to take a knee, which, as he said in the clip himself, taking a knee is like a sign of obedience.
Yes.
So I was like, bull crap. I mean, I started calling bull crap from the very beginning, which was very unpopular, which is very common for me to be on the very unpopular side of
not with the it girls, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just the just the troublemaker. So this thing plays out, and he's taking his knee, and then he gets his job back to play football, and he's still taking the knee for the 49ers in the same season that he originally started taking the knee. But even Colin Kaepernick, is certain things that no black person could ever say, and he touched the third rail of blackdom of not voting.
At this point, I'm sure Colin Kaepernick is used to receiving backlash, but after letting it be known that he had no intentions of voting, many of his supporters jumped off the bandwagon. So young Cap felt compelled to explain his position via a conference call with members of the press. I've been very disconnected from the systematic oppression as a whole, Kaepernick said. So for me, it's another face that's going to be the face of that system of oppression. And to me, it didn't really matter who went in there. The system remains intact that oppresses people of color. Never mind that University of Alabama football coach Nick Saban admitted he wasn't even aware that there was an election. The media, and namely Stephen A. Smith, sounded off on Kaepernick for not voting, as if not voting negates the money he's donated and programs that he's implemented since his protest became public.
Now, did he announce this, or how did this come to light that he was not voting?
I think it was one of those TMZ kind of things where they're like on the street and they put a mic in your face and ask you about the election. And he was like, yeah, I'm not voting because both of them are bad. I mean, just to very simplify what his statement was.
And why is this the third rail?
Because if you're black, you got to vote.
Gotcha.
Even just for some context, I get feedback now for my stance on this show. Like, how dare you tell people not to vote? You know, well, I'll give you an example of what it sounds like. ESPN host slams Colin Kaepernick.
I appreciated what you said about Colin Kaepernick. As someone who's 54, registered to vote when I turned 18, I've never in my life missed voting in an election. Expand on what you had to say about him.
Well, listen, the fact is he had every right to protest. And when he was talking about racial injustices and things of that nature, you certainly could understand where he was coming from. It was a quiet protest. He didn't impede anybody's ability to watch the game, to come to the games or anything like that, which is why I went on Good Morning America, my show First Take on ESPN2 every weekday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon and other outlets to support him. However, the second that he decided that he was not going to vote and then to publicly reveal that he wasn't voting, I thought it was egregious to the highest order. I thought it compromised everything that he was standing for. And more importantly, I thought it was a disrespect to our ancestors, to people who have bled and fought and died for him to have the right to do that. And then also take into account the fact that we have a president who is outgoing in Barack Obama, who captured 93% of the black vote, who obviously black folks come out and support. He went before the Congressional Black Caucus and went campaigning on behalf of Hillary Clinton, basically imploring our community to activate itself in this election if you had any respect whatsoever for his legacy.
I need a bell just around me all the time. Just when I hear the word activate, I gotta ring the bell too. Yes. Okay. So he was not on board with the program. He didn't want to activate for Hillary.
And that's when he got canceled.
And what was his reasons behind this?
Because he understood his fan base. He's very conscious. Or I'm not gonna say he, because I don't think he's very.
I'll say he doesn't look that smart.
I don't think I wouldn't say smart because I'll say this because the reason why I wouldn't say smart because he was a 4.0 student in high school.
Okay, we'll take that back.
I don't think he's that aware, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Being a biracial person that was raised by a total white family, growing up in a total white community, he's not as aware of race as a quote unquote typical black person.
He didn't have the same upbringing where the you got to vote was hammered into you. So it's
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So when he says these things, but I think him not voting was very calculated because if you link him, as it loosely is, to Black Lives Matter, that was a large portion of his, because you got to look at these things, they were running concurrent at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Black Lives Matter 2016, they were on a meteoric rise. So was Kaepernick, and they kind of merged together.
Yeah, they converged.
Right, they converged. And for him, and Black Lives Matter was very anti-establishment and anti-Hillary Clinton. So for him to come out and say, and be used as a tool for Hillary Clinton, then that would damage his brand. And this is all about brand here.
Yes. Okay.
So it was a very calculated, I think wisely calculated. I mean, and a lot of his moves that look stupid, you have to understand they look stupid because you're thinking about, not you, but people are thinking about him in the terms of him getting back into the NFL.
Right.
No, he's thinking, I'm going to build this brand because I wasn't that good of a football player last time I played. Even if I get back in the NFL, I'll be mediocre at best. Now, he will be better than half of the guys that are either a starting quarterback or backup quarterbacks. I'll give him that credit. And I think that's a very disingenuous argument when people say, oh, he wasn't good enough to play. No, it's a lot of trash quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Well, so you got to have a certain amount of, it could be wokeness or, awareness for sure. If you know, okay, wait a minute, I'm not that, he made a career choice. I'm not that great a player. And, I've got a brand, and I think a lot of things happened. The hair change, well, I'm sure we'll get to that, or maybe not. But the hair change was a significant, that was a true branding move. And
that was immediate. Because I think when he was start processing, he had
right away he had that big afro.
So he had the afro. He was ready for casting.
Yeah. Okay. No, you're right. So the decision had already been made, and then of course he's in his mind. He's already thinking, okay, I don't win if I come out publicly for Trump, because no one does, and I don't win if I come out publicly for Clinton because of the Black Lives Matter convergent convergence with what he was doing. Okay, got it. I'm there.
So you asked the question about his handlership. It started off, in my opinion, with Mr. Harry Edwards. But there was a transition because, and this is quoting from a May 11th article from ESPN 2017, Mr. Harry Edwards made a statement that 3 teams have inquired about Colin Kaepernick, advisor says. And he goes on to talk about the teams that were interested in Colin Kaepernick, right?
Mm-hmm.
But immediate after that, Nessa Diab refutes the claim. So this is where his handlers made a transition from it being Mr. Harry Edwards being handed over to Miss Nessa Diab.
Well, Vic, many fans want to know how close were the Ravens to signing Colin Kaepernick. Ray Lewis says they were about to close this deal, but one tweet changed it all.
8:24 in the AM. Baltimore Ravens
making headlines yet again.
The whole Colin Kaepernick mess.
Colin Kaepernick and Ray Lewis are at center stage, with Lewis shedding light on why the Ravens backed away from the controversial quarterback.
Nobody had this kid a job in the National Football League. I can raise my hand and say I did.
Once a star for the 49ers, poor play and a protest of the national anthem.
Quite a moment here in San Francisco.
Has Kaepernick looking for a new job.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed.
When Joe Flacco was first injured, the Ravens expressed interest in Kaepernick, but never signed him. Shortly after, Kaepernick's girlfriend slammed owner Steve Bisciotti and Ray Lewis, posting a tweet that mirrors the movie picture of a house slave hugging his racist master.
The only thing that went bad was that image where she tried to make us a racist.
Lewis on Showtime's Inside the NFL.
We were going to close the deal.
To sign him.
All we wanted to hear was hear Colin Kaepernick speak. Then his girl goes out and puts out this racist gesture. She doesn't know we're in the back office about to try to get this guy to sign.
Yeah, but maybe she did know, I guess. Yeah, perfect timing.
Why, if your goal is to get back into the NFL, why would your girlfriend, aka your handler, tweet out a picture of, she had on one side, she had the owners of the Baltimore Ravens being hugged by Ray Lewis, the legendary, iconic linebacker from the Baltimore Ravens on one side. And then she had a picture of Django Unchained with the quote unquote Uncle Tom house slave hugging the white slave owner.
Yeah.
Why would you do that if your goal is to get back in the NFL?
That doesn't seem like that's your goal. Well, of course, he didn't do it, but she did it, and of course he immediately broke up with her and publicly said she was a horrible person, right?
Not at all. And just as a side note, Baltimore Ravens have taken a black quarterback. I'm drawing blanks today. They currently have a black quarterback that they drafted, and he's been very successful in their system. So much so that he's being in the runnings for MVP talk. So Colin Kaepernick could have played that. He had the same skill set. Lamar Jackson, that's his name. It had to come back to me. He had the same skill set as Lamar Jackson, and he could have had the same level of success because they built a system around his skills of running the football, and not get too much in sports, but he could have had similar success. But I don't think that's not what is wanted for Colin Kaepernick.
No, apparently
so once again he becomes toxic. He overcame the voting thing. NFL teams were looking at him again.
Now, was there any more conversation with his girlfriend? Was she interviewed? Did she give any decent explanation of what she was thinking?
Not at all.
Okay, that's odd too. There was no TMZ interview. Why did you ruin your boyfriend's career? None of that.
None of that.
Huh. Okay.
So now Mr. Colin Kaepernick is completely toxic. The kneeling thing had died down. But then enter Mr. Donald Trump.
It was a remarkable show of solidarity and defiance aimed directly at Donald Trump.
What's up,
In stadium after stadium, anthem after anthem, National Football League players on one knee. Others with raised fists or locked arms, sometimes along with team owners. Some teams staying in their locker rooms for the anthem, some anthem singers themselves joining the protest. All of it a response to Trump's comments Friday about players who protest this way, who, in Trump's view, disrespect the U.S. flag.
Get that son of a bitch off the field right now. Out. He's fired.
Trump and his supporters frame it as unpatriotic, but the protests are aimed at highlighting racial inequality in the U.S. That's why former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick began it last year. A move, say some, that cost him his career, as no team hired Kaepernick this season. But Trump's comments and his calls to now boycott the NFL and the view by many Trump is sympathetic to racist views, and all of a sudden, this.
Yeah.
So Trump used Colin Kaepernick in the NFL for two reasons. One, I think it was during the Roy Moore election when he was in Alabama. Was it Alabama or Mississippi? I forget. One of the two.
Pretty sure it was Alabama.
It was Alabama, right? That's where he made this comment. So he needed some deflection from that whole debacle that was going on down there, because I mean Roy Moore was the worst candidate ever, but he had to back him, right?
Yeah, because he's Republican. No, because of the allegations that were made against him about the young girls or whatever. I mean, that it was just true or not, it was just bad optics to have to support a guy like that, right? So he needed some attention. So you think you think Trump did it for that reason?
Oh, well, I'm going to get to that's one reason, but the second reason is he hates the NFL.
Trump hates the NFL.
Yes, let me explain the history to you. Okay, so Mr.
The Kraft guy is his buddy?
Yeah, Kraft is his buddy. Jerry Jones from the Cowboys is his buddy. But the NFL, okay, Trump once had a team in the USFL, which was a direct competitor of the NFL.
Oh,
and
okay.
He sued the NFL and won a monopoly case. He only won $3. I mean, they ruled in his favor.
This is like the 90s? Is this early 90s, I think?
I think like late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around in that period.
I was in New York at the time, so I kind of remember that. And I remember it was like, what kind? And he had a team, too. Didn't he put a team together for his league?
He had a team in the USFL. And then they were playing football in the springtime, but then he moved it in direct competition with the NFL in the fall.
Yeah.
So that, I mean,
and
so he sued him. He won. But then the other thing was Mr. Trump tried to buy a team in the NFL. And the way it works is to get a team in the NFL, even if you have the money, you have to have the votes.
You have to be invited. Yeah, you got to.
It's the Billionaire Boys Club is what it is.
Right.
It's like my fantasy league. You know, I mean, that's what it is for billionaires. I mean, they have their teams. Most of them make money elsewhere, and it's just their passion. So they were like, we're not letting this guy Trump in, you know. So that really galled Trump. Like, oh, okay. You don't want to sell me a team because he tried to buy the Buffalo Bills. So just to back up my claims, we have Jaguar owner Khan speaking on Trump.
President Trump hasn't been shy about voicing his displeasure with the NFL, and one owner says the president's attacks on the league are personal. Jaguars owner Shad Khan told USA Today that the president's assault against the NFL is, quote, about money or messing with trying to soil a league or a brand that he's jealous of. The president has railed on the NFL on social media for its handling of the national anthem controversy. And though most owners were hesitant to comment on the president as they wrapped up league meetings in New York, Khan was very candid. Trump was unsuccessful in attempting to purchase the Buffalo Bills back in 2014, and Khan reportedly thinks that could be a motivating factor, saying he's been elected president where maybe a great goal he had in life to own an NFL team is not very likely. So to make it tougher or to hurt the league, it's very calculated.
Well, Trump is definitely someone who's on record saying as he believes in retaliation, so...
Yep, and just to give this guy Khan credibility in his claim, he's donated to Trump's election fund. So it's weird. It's this weird thing going on between these billionaires. They're very petty in certain ways.
Yes, yes, they are.
So the NFL, this is what called the second wave, and a huge, like as they said in the previous clip to the one we just played. It was league-wide protests. All the guys were taking a knee. Some guys were raising the fist. Players was walking out of practice.
Staying in the locker room even.
Yeah, I'm talking about doing practice. They wasn't even practice. So the NFL owners had to take action. And what they did was they put together this fund, I think of like $88 million to donate towards minority causes.
Minority causes. Not Black Lives Matter, but minority causes. Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of smoothed things over. But it caused a rift between Colin Kaepernick and the NFL players. Now I want to introduce another. I didn't do any clips because there's not many clips to have on him. But one thing Colin Kaepernick is known not to do is talk. Nobody hears him talk. All he does is tweet. But he has his attack dog, Eric Reed. Eric Reed was a guy that played with him in San Francisco and took a knee with him when he was taking his knee. And every time Colin Kaepernick has beef with somebody, Eric Reed addresses it either verbally or even attempting to physically approach people. So we have Stephen A. Smith speaking on Eric Reed versus Malcolm Jenkins.
Let's get into the particulars, for example. The $89 million. Did y'all know that part of the agreement is that the owners will match whatever the players contribute up to $250,000 annually to certain causes pertaining to the African-American community? The kind of issues that Colin Kaepernick and others were talking about addressing. We know this. If you don't know it, you know it now. Number two, the NFL, Colin Kaepernick himself, Eric Reed himself, they were never protesting against the National Football League and its owners. They were protesting against society in terms of wanting to bring attention to racial oppression, racial inequality, and other things pertaining to disenfranchised communities throughout our nation. They were not complaining against the National Football League.
Yeah, and here I come. I'm a television network, and I say, hey, we got a little problem. We're getting this, a lot of flack about our telecast, and it's too controversial. And the military, they don't want to buy as many ads around the program because they're kind of ruining our flyover.
Mm-hmm.
So this had to end.
So just to fill people in on who Malcolm Jenkins is. Malcolm Jenkins was the guy that came in and said, you know what, he was the face of the Players Association to say, you know what, we can monetize this thing for charities.
Right.
And,
right.
they hijacked Colin Kaepernick's movement.
Which is what player associations do very well, by the way.
Well, I mean, that's what people do all the time. If you just want to complain about something and don't want to monetize it, there's somebody out there saying, we can monetize this thing. And that's what they did. And NFL owners found them favorable to work with, because they weren't being just anarchist. So they came to this agreement, $89 million, as they said in the clip. And that caused, like I said, a rift between the Colin Kaepernick faction, which included Eric Reed, against Malcolm Jenkins and the Players Association. And we'll hear Stephen A. speaking more about it in part 2.
Number 3. When you talk about Malcolm Jenkins and the Players Coalition, They're saying their priority wasn't Colin Kaepernick. Their priority were the issues. We even have Josh Norman quoted on the record beefing with Eric Reed over a conference call written by an article in our very own The Undefeated, where he was saying to Eric Reed, let's just be real about what's going on here. Where's Colin Kaepernick to speak up for himself? And oh, by the way, this is bigger than just one man. We understand that what's happening to Colin Kaepernick is wrong, but this issue is bigger than him. And if we're about uplifting and helping our communities, that takes precedent.
So once again, Colin Kaepernick finds himself on the outside.
Yes, he's kicked out. Yeah.
You see his trend here of this. Well, getting close to coming back to the NFL, and then something happens, and it's just this bob and weave thing.
It seems like if I looked at it from a handler perspective, it's like, okay, let him get close, controversy, pull him back. And we're going to go over there. But let him get close, controversy, and pull him back. That's kind of what it feels like.
And that's exactly what it seems like to me as well. So then in steps Nike.
Nike is defending its controversial new ad campaign after backlash from President Trump and other critics. In an interview, the president said Nike is sending a terrible message, he says, by partnering with unsigned NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. But he added their freedom to do so is what this country is all about. Kaepernick triggered the NFL player protests against social injustice back in 2016 by kneeling during the national anthem. CBS This Morning's Saturday co-host, that's Dana Jacobson, joins us at the table. She's been following the Nike controversy from the beginning. Dana, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, this is not going away, and the season hasn't even started yet. An NFL executive, at least one, has expressed support for Kaepernick, saying in part the social justice issues that Colin and other professional athletes have raised deserve our attention and action. But Nike's decision is also fanning the flames on social media. Nike's controversial endorsement of Colin Kaepernick is reigniting the debate over NFL players taking a knee during the national anthem.
All right.
So Nike comes in, they make him part of the Just Do It campaign.
What was the size of his deal at the time? Do you know?
It was undisclosed how much he made, but it was in the millions, I'm sure.
Oh, no doubt.
But one little caveat is, have you ever heard Mr. Mark Geragos?
Yes, a lawyer in Los Angeles. He's a very famous lawyer.
Yes, Mark Geragos was Colin Kaepernick's attorney. But he's also tied in with something to do with Nike as well.
Business Insider reports lawyer Michael Avenatti was arrested and charged with attempting to extort $20 million from sportswear brand Nike on Monday. Avenatti's basis for the alleged extortion attempt was that he had information related to the NCAA basketball scandal that would put Nike in a negative light. The attorney for adult film star Stormy Daniels allegedly tried to force Nike to pay up by threatening to harm the company if his demands were not met. Later Monday, Nike responded by saying that it was complying with federal investigations in NCAA basketball and will not be extorted. Celebrity attorney Mark Geragos was named a co-conspirator in the Avenatti case, which was filed in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah, I remember this, and I remember making a deal about it on No Agenda. And I got a number of emails from people, my friends, who said, "Oh man, Geragos is an okay guy." So they weren't sure what was up with Avenatti and how that fit together, but they were definitely. I mean, I think he's also Adam Carolla's lawyer. And
I'm just speaking on the weird love triangle that's going on there between Avenatti, Nike, and Geragos, where Geragos and Avenatti were partners. But then Avenatti's trying to extort Nike, and then you got Colin Kaepernick working for Nike, and Geragos is his lawyer. So it's just it has nothing to add to the story, but it was just a weird little.
No, it does, because I think it's a tactic. It's probably a Geragos tactic. It's like, all right, well, we're going to mess with you over here because we need something for you for Cap. And we're going to make some trouble over here. And by the way, I never heard a follow-up. It sounds totally plausible that Nike was, that Nike's scandalously giving money to high school kids. Totally believable. And I remember they came out and I think they countersued, and I don't know what happened. And that's also odd. So why didn't they vigorously defend that, make a big, was there a lawsuit? Was there a court ruling? It kind of fizzled away. So it sounds like shenanigans.
Yeah, so I just add that in there. It doesn't have any value to the timeline. It was just a weird little tidbit or factoid.
I do have another question. What the hell station did you get that clip from where there's some British woman talking about our sport?
That's the only place I could find anything on that subject.
Okay.
All over the web. I mean, you know,
Wow.
I scour YouTube
You're a
for
researcher.
these clips.
Yeah, you're a researcher. Yeah, you are.
So just to give the audio background I needed, that's why I found it. So that's one lawsuit. I mean, so now Colin Kaepernick, he ends up settling with the NFL.
A surprise development happened just as we were walking into the studio. Former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick has settled his lawsuit with the National Football League. Kaepernick sued the league last year, claiming 32 teams colluded to keep him off the NFL roster because he was taking a knee during the national anthem. Now, we don't know many details about the settlement, but Kaepernick had previously signaled that only a lucrative financial payout will convince him to drop the suit. What does this mean, and what does it mean for Kaepernick's future? He's 31 years old. You would have to think he could still play if he wants. Fox News contributor, she used to be at ESPN, where she thrived there, Britt McHenry, with a rich sports background. Britt, Michael Freeman, a respected NFL reporter, is reporting, get this, that he's getting $60 million. What does that tell you?
It tells me, Brian, that money will make a problem go away, or it will make a social justice warrior really happy and really rich. But I have to tell you, I did a little reporting of my own. I reached out to an NFL source of mine, an NFL agent, who said he would be shocked if that was the number.
Well, it was the number, wasn't it? It was high, I thought.
Well, the Wall Street Journal came back and reported that was way low.
Oh.
We're talking in single-digit millions. So that 60 was right after the settlement had finalized. Mm. So I think that was a tactic to show that Colin Kaepernick put the NFL over the barrel, kind of thing. And
the lawsuit was specifically because he wasn't playing. Oh, because the teams were colluding not to hire him.
To blackball him,
right.
Or whiteball him, or however you want to, depend on what side of the spectrum you're on. But that was what it was all about.
Stop the show.
Yes.
Do you with your other friends say whiteballing instead of blackballing?
No, that's a woke term.
I just want to make sure. Okay, good. All right, just checking, man. That's what the show is about too. I want to know what's going on. All right.
Yeah, so that's the woke term for blackballing is
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that everywhere now. Hey, bro, stop whiteballing me. Okay, I'm just practicing.
Yeah. So, but him settling didn't sit well with a lot of people because what they tried to do was tie Colin Kaepernick in with Ali. That was the comparison, Muhammad Ali, for those people that don't know, which was a bullshit comparison, excuse my language, because Muhammad Ali was the best at his sport.
Yes.
And he refused to be used by the military-industrial complex, as we saw in previous shows. Go look it up, how they used Joe Louis. Mm-hmm. Because they weren't going to put a gun in Ali's hand and, make him go fight in Vietnam.
No, they wanted to do the Elvis trick. There's
right,
Elvis.
Yep. That was called the USO, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
where you go around and, do some exhibitions.
Yes.
I mean, they used Joe Louis the exact same way in World War II.
Yeah.
But Ali was like, no, I'm not going to do it. For religious reasons. That was his whole purpose. I mean, he said, I'm a minister for the Nation of Islam, and I'm not going to fight your war. And he sat down for 3 years. He didn't settle. He took, he fought the whole thing. So Colin Kaepernick settling really hurt his case. And Stephen A. Smith took an issue with that.
Well, here's where the problem lies. What did you win, Colin Kaepernick? I want to know the money. I want to know what the details of the settlement are. That's what I want to know. You don't sit up there and get martyred by everybody and their grandmother all of these over the last 2 years, with everybody making a case about how he's being blackballed, he's being ostracized, and all of this other stuff. You don't get to sit up there and send out tweets thanking Rihanna and other stars who refused to perform at halftime for the Super Bowl in protest in support of you, because their belief was that you have been blackballed
blackballed. And there's a nation of folks, particularly from the minority community, that have been standing up, screaming, hooting, and hollering about how you have been ostracized, how you have been mistreated. And then all of a sudden you quietly reach a settlement and we don't know what the hell it entails. That's my problem with all of this.
Mm-hmm. Everybody wants a little taste of that money.
So, Colin Kaepernick's on the outs again.
They're doing it very well. Whoever's running him, they're doing a good job.
Because he's like, man, you took the money. You were supposed to take the NFL owners to trial, expose them, for whiteballing you, and that was the whole purpose. For his, speaking from his backer standpoint of view, this is what they wanted to show, the power structure that they could be, made to kneel. Pun intended.
Right.
So here we are, present day, NFL. So we're gonna go to one of the most official sports references there is, The Real.
So last night it was announced for the NFL that Colin Kaepernick was invited to a private workout in Atlanta this Saturday, which means that this free agent man might have the chance to play on the NFL team again. Yeah. So we all know, if you didn't, that he stirred up some controversy in 2016 when he took a knee to protest police brutality. So I want to know, how do you guys feel about this chance of Colin being back on the NFL? Yeah.
Woo! They love it.
All for it.
I think it's long overdue. Long overdue. I think that what Colin kneeling for, we're still working on to try to improve police brutality, but he brought attention to it.
Yeah. So
I
much
think
awareness.
he sacrificed a lot.
Yeah. Well done.
And I just want to remind people that Colin opted out of his contract in 2017. He was not fired. He opted out of it to try to get more money. And then what happened was, with all the kneeling and everything, there was some controversy about bringing him back. Right. They had a settlement because there was a lawsuit about collusion to keep him out. They settled it. It was confidential. What happened. Yeah. So we don't know actually what was the requirements, but then it just seems like he was still getting blackballed.
Hey, man, did the ladies of The Real just alter history there?
No, they laid it out perfectly like it was, and that's why I used that clip. What did you find as altered?
That he opted out of his contract in 2017. Maybe I misunderstood.
That's very factual. He had one more year left with the San Francisco 49ers, and he opted out of that final year.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm happy that I know that I can brush up on my football by watching the ladies of The Real. Happy about that. I like that. Okay.
So the reason why I use this clip is to answer the other question you had about his celebrity. Now, do you see how big it is?
Big. Yes. Gotcha.
So now, and we're at present time. The sketch, was it last Saturday?
Yeah.
The workout was, and you made a astute observation that this was a private combine for Mr. Colin Kaepernick. Nobody has ever seen this before. One player combine where it was 25 teams were going to come to see him showcase his abilities. But as expected on my part, it didn't go off as planned, and it ended in Mr. Colin Kaepernick coming from out of the shadows and actually getting in front of the microphones and having a rant.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Hey, let me start by saying I appreciate y'all coming out. That means a lot to me. Our biggest thing with everything today was making sure we had transparency of what went on. We weren't getting that elsewhere, so we came out here. It's important that y'all are here. Y'all been attacked for the last 3 years. Y'all continue to be attacked. We appreciate what y'all do. We appreciate you being here today. We appreciate the work you do for the people and telling the truth. That's what we want in everything. I've been ready for 3 years. I've been denied for 3 years. We all know why I came out here, showed it today in front of everybody. We have nothing to hide. So we're waiting for the 32 owners, the 32 teams, Roger Goodell, all of them to stop running. Stop running from the truth. stop running from the people. We're out here, we're ready to play. We're ready to go anywhere. My agent, Jeff Nally, is ready to talk to any team. I'll interview with any team at any time. I've been ready, I'm staying ready, and I'll continue to be ready. And to all the people that came out here today to support, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. To the people that aren't here, I'm thinking of you. I appreciate you supporting from where you are. We'll continue to give you updates as we hear. We'll be waiting to hear from Roger Goodell, the NFL, the 32 teams. We'll let you know if we hear from them. Ball's in their court, we're ready to go.
There we go. Well, so yeah, I saw this, and it got my interest because I know he doesn't talk, and of course I learned that from you. Okay. And and I see him there, and I to me, here's what my spidey sense told me. One, he's wearing his Nike shirt. Like, okay, that's not, when you're a paid endorsement, a spokesmodel, you don't put it on for free, and you put it on when you're told to put it on, and there's always something associated with that. And the second one, he kept saying, "We ready, we ready, we ready," and to me, that felt like a "just do it" type thing. It felt like a campaign.
Yeah, this whole thing was a media stunt. Well, let me be clear, because I'm unbiased. This whole thing was a media stunt from both sides. The NFL put this thing on because they're having their 100-year anniversary, and they wanted to put a nice little bow on this whole Colin Kaepernick thing and have it be over with, right? They know he doesn't want to play football. They know this as we see it now. It's like every time this guy gets the opportunity to play football, something happens where he blows it himself. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on this huge spectacle in Atlanta, in the blackest city in America, invite him on down, and then we're going to let him put the ball. We're going to put the ball in his court. But no.
Then the handlers went.
Colin Kaepernick handler said, "Oh no,
oh no."
So what they did was 3 hours before the private workout was supposed to begin, they said, "No, we're not doing that. We're going to hold our own workout." And that's where this clip was taken from that we just heard. It was, now if you have if you know you're not going to, well, you know what? I'm going to let Stephen A. Smith, and it's important that we use Stephen A. Smith throughout this whole story because they're juxtaposed, and we'll get to that why and how they're juxtaposed in a minute. But Stephen A. speaks on Colin Kaepernick doesn't want to play; he wants to be a martyr.
So let me get this straight. Colin Kaepernick has been working out all of this time. Him, people in his camp, his close ones, loved ones, everybody talking about he wants to play football. He wants to play football. He's ready to play. Just give him the chance. So what does the NFL do? Recognizing that teams need a shield because they need something to hide behind, because they know that, guess what? If we bring this brother in for a workout and we don't like him or we don't want him, who knows what we're going to get accused of. We need cover. So the NFL provides that. I have no doubt Jay-Z's involved. I have no doubt Roger Goodell is involved. I have no doubt there's a host of people involved, but forget all of that.
I like this guy. Forget all that. Nice. He's a sportscaster, yeah?
Oh, he is the sportscaster over at ESPN.
Okay, I got you.
So this happened, this was Saturday afternoon after Colin Kaepernick makes his rant. Stephen A. Smith, you're saying, is beside himself because I think he kind of smells what's going on.
Oh, he's totally on to it. He sees it. Or, yeah, of course.
But we're going to let Stephen A. Smith continue about him being a martyr.
This man wanted a chance. 25 teams show up in Georgia at the Atlanta Falcons practice facility, state-of-the-art facility, NFL personnel, equipment, everything, video, everything. And what does Colin Kaepernick do? Not Tuesday when he found out about it, not Wednesday, not Thursday, not Friday, Saturday. 3 hours before the workout. Because of some issue with a liability waiver, Colin Kaepernick wants to change the venue. Colin Kaepernick wants his own receivers. Colin Kaepernick wants to video things himself. Colin Kaepernick wants the media. This Colin Kaepernick, media can't find him. He ain't done no interviews. He ain't talked to nobody. Media can't find him, but he wants to do anything. He wants the media available now. He don't want to play. He wants to be a martyr.
An agent of change.
So, a lot of he's been critical, as we heard in previous clips, over Colin Kaepernick not voting, but other times he's been supportive for Colin Kaepernick on his show. But Colin Kaepernick not only didn't piss off Stephen A. Smith, he also has pissed off Undisputed host Shannon Sharp.
I'm disappointed with how Cap handled the situation. I think everybody knows that's watched this show for the last 3 years, Skip. I've been one of Cap's biggest supporters. You and I talked about this, I believe, every single day for about 3 or 4 months. When everybody else touched on it at the beginning and left the subject alone, you and I talked about it. I talked to Cap. I knew how much he wanted to get back into the league. And I even coined a term. I said, Cap has been whiteballed. That has not changed. But the way he handled this situation, Skip, now, he knew that he received this on a very short notice. He could have said, my representative have just given me word that the NFL has set up a workout for me. I will get back to you as soon as I know more details. He jumped in head first. So you knew this was going to be on a Saturday. He turns around because what he did, Skip, he's in his camp and his supporter says the NFL wants to control the narrative. Well, the NFL says, we damn sure not going to let you control the narrative. And he walked into a trap that they set. What Cap is trying to do is Cap is trying to appease an audience that has no role in him getting a job. You can showcase your talent for the media all you want to. You can try to appease your fan base all you want to, but they will play no role in you getting a job. Cap, you show up to a job interview with a Kunta Kinte shirt?
Kunta Kinte! Yes. No. He should have a hoodie that just says Toby.
Oh, well, he can't do that.
Of course not.
He can't do that.
Just
because
wanted to give you that. Oh, man.
As you know, I always like to give context to the things that you're saying that are happening. By Kunta Kaepernick, but by Colin Kaepernick showing up with that Kunta Kinte.
That show title, Kunta Kaepernick. There you go. That'll get some SEO. That'll get some love.
But by him showing up with the Kunta Kinte shirt on, by proxy, he's calling the NFL owners what?
Slave owners. And just there may be some younger listeners who didn't grow up with Alex Haley's epic Roots, the saga of an American family. It's on Netflix, I'm sure. It's a must-watch. Binge it over the weekend, the Thanksgiving weekend.
So, as you mentioned, Alex Haley had a piece of slave trauma-based entertainment called Roots.
Thank you for saying that, because when I say you need to watch it, we have discussed this before. Maybe we discussed it just on the phone, I think. I don't think it was in the show. It is totally trauma-based entertainment. Absolutely. In fact, very traumatic to watch.
To the point, my father said when he saw it, they went to school the next day and got into brawls over it.
Wow.
So by him using this icon of Kunta Kinte, he knew how the billionaire, petty, as we've laid out, owners would take it, and he knew what it would signify to his super woke crowd that he that backs him. But for people that don't know who Kunta Kinte is, I want to explain what the significance of that is.
I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
Lord God, help that boy. They're gonna whip him dead.
What's your name? Say it. Toby. Who are you? Say your name. What's your name?
Toby.
Say it again. Say it louder so they all can hear you. What's your name?
Toby. My name is Toby.
Hi. That's a good nigger.
Yeah, that was the, yeah.
So, in that scene, we have Colin Kaepernick playing the role of Kunta Kinte that won't be broken. And his name, he won't say his name is Toby.
And we got the NFL,
the NFL,
the owners saying it's Toby.
And who's the third character in there? Stephen A. Smith. Oh Lord, they're gonna break that boy.
Damn. They just took the old playbook, recycled it.
That's
perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
And now people are saying, "Well, Mo, you're going a little far out with that."
I don't think so at all. I totally see this. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, I'll stand up for you, Mo. I will defend you on this one.
To back up my claim, Stephen A. Smith signs biggest contract in ESPN history.
I want to talk about Stephen A. Smith. According to the NY Post, he is to basically sign a new deal to become ESPN's highest paid talent, on-air personality in their history. Okay, now this is according to the NY Post. So Stephen A. Smith is about to make a lot more money. Okay, and that's for the people who, like him and the people who don't. I know the people who don't are really going to like this. It says, quite frankly, Stephen A. Smith is going to be richer. Smith is in line to become the highest paid on-air person at ESPN by potentially boosting his salary to $10 million per year, according to the people with knowledge of upcoming negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
This is the boule at play.
Yes, sir.
Stephen A. And you know what? This clip is from March.
Jeez.
They don't finalize the deal until last week.
Oh, how convenient.
How convenient.
Jeez.
Which ESPN has, which is Disney, has a big contract with the NFL. And their number one guy, Stephen A. Smith, signs the biggest contract in ESPN history. Right before he goes on to attack public enemy number one as far as NFL concerned, Colin Kaepernick.
So his contract was done, announced, and then the Kaepernick thing happens?
Yes.
Oh, perfect timeline. So, of course, ESPN's in on it. Oh, man. Yes.
So what you have is you have the boule versus the woke crowd.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which the woke crowd is funded by Soros, people like that, and the boule are more establishment.
Well, you also made the right connection. ABC, they have the contract for the games? I don't even know.
Yeah, well, ESPN, they show Monday Night Football.
Right, so they own everything. Okay, so they own Stephen A. Smith. They own everybody except for this show.
Mm-hmm.
But we're for sale for the right amount, for sure.
My name is Kunta. I won't be broken.
Who are you? I better be the Stephen A. Smith in that story you just made up there. I don't want to be the slave owner. All right.
No. What I'm saying is that's the reason why we do this, because nobody will point these things out because everybody has the vested interest on either side.
That's right.
I mean, you know that. That's why you do the No Agenda show.
Absolutely.
It's because if you had sponsors, it's like, shut up, Adam.
Yes.
Yeah. We refuse to do that. But this has came at a cost to Mr. Stephen A. Smith.
Oh.
Terrell Owens confronts Stephen A. Smith.
So what he wanted was transparency for people to see the full workout, to see the full Colin Kaepernick. Again, you mentioned obviously Max is going to get in here, and like I said, I'm in the streets. Max almost seems blacker than you, Stephen A. with his commentary.
With all due respect, my brother,
I'm just saying, dog.
Wait a minute. Wait to finish.
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna check you right now. You don't cross the line.
I'm just saying.
Tell me. Wait a minute. You don't cross the line. First of all, like I said, you, Colin Kaepernick, Eric Reed, any of y'all that want to debate me in front of black people and talk about what's best for black people, name the time and place, I'll show up. I don't want to hear, what's the definition of blackness? Is there a definitive definition of blackness?
And now Terrell is a player, right? Because
Terrell Owens is a former player, and he says that Stephen A. Smith's co-host, Max Kellerman, is blacker than Stephen A. Smith.
This would seem like an insult.
The highest order.
That's what I'm thinking. That's not a cool thing to say. And this was on the air?
Yes, this was on Stephen A. Smith's show. And let me just give some background. Stephen A. Smith sometimes takes the conservative side of an argument because this is a debate show. Him and Max debate.
Right.
And to keep Max from seeming like the racist white guy, by the structure of the show, Stephen A. Smith most of the time takes the conservative side and lets Max argue the liberal side, so he doesn't look like the racist white guy.
Right.
But,
yes.
Right. But this crap has blown up in Stephen A. Smith's face. But let me just give a little point here. Stephen A. Smith always likes to say, "I'm a black man," before he prefaces any statement. So to let his co-host, a white Jewish guy, be called blacker than him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this is bad.
Oh, that was a kick in the nuts.
It's bad.
And then Terrell goes on to invite Max to the cookout.
Here, and I know, Max, you didn't have a chance to jump in, and I'm sure you want to respond.
Well, it's okay. It got kind of explosive when, T.O., you said tongue-in-cheek, you said that I seem blacker than Stephen A., and Stephen A. obviously had to respond to that. And I want to respond to that before I say what I originally wanted to say, which is, first of all, I can't eat anymore all the cookouts I've been invited to, like, since this whole thing came up. I see Stephen A. as having inherited not only a respect for authority, but a working knowledge of reality and what it takes to get ahead. No excuses. You can always look for excuses. You can look for things to lean on. You can look for where it's not perfect. Or you can do what you have to do, which is what Stephen A. has done. And I would say that that your point of view, Stephen A., Stephen A.'s point of view, is not less black necessarily than someone else's who's more strident. It is more conservative in certain respects. And my point of view is oftentimes more progressive. My own background is Jewish secular, not religious, but Jewish secular. So one of the things you get around Passover is act like you were a slave in Egypt. That's how I grew up. Like, with that tradition of always look at the oppressed and look for righteousness and justice. And so I'm strident in that way. However, myself, I did not have to go through the struggle like that.
Now explain the cookout. So what, is this just some old cookout? What cookout is this?
He invited to the cookout. He invited to the barbecue.
Yeah, well, tell me. I want to be at the cookout.
So the cookout is this stupid thing that the woke people do. When white people do something that's pleasing to them, they say, "Oh, he's invited to the cookout."
Oh, God. I'm learning so much today. It's hurting my brain.
So it's not my definition. I'll let BuzzFeed explain to you what the cookout is.
So the cookout to me is like where black people come to be blackity black.
All the generations get together, and it's the one place you come teach the older generation as much as they teach you too.
True.
A cookout is a safe place to be around friends and family.
The cookout is the only place where you don't have to code switch.
It's immediate family, it's siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, family friends, fake aunties, fake uncles.
It was my Haitian education school. That's where I learned about my culture, my music, how to cook, the importance of family members.
Yeah, you can't fight at a cookout.
People fight at the cookout.
You can't. You're not supposed to.
Okay, it sounds pretty holy, this cookout business. This is where it happens.
To them, I mean, it's not. Well, if you're, and this is, I'm going to piss some people off with this one.
Good.
So just beware. When you're a black person and you deal in white, mostly white spaces, a cookout to you is like this magical place of blackness. You know, to me, it's you throw some food on the grill and you're saying some beers and you just kick back.
Yeah.
But if you're living white spaces, how they term it, you know, to be around a majority of black people is something magical to them. And then to bring a white person into that is the highest of the highest order of compliments that they bestow upon a super woke white person.
He invited to the cookout. He invited to the barbecue. You know what? F the cookout. That's right.
F the cookout.
F the cookout.
So, and it had to be, like I said, it had to be the highest insult to Stephen A. Smith, because not only does Max go on, he gets invited to the cookout, then he goes on to white-splain the struggle. I mean, did you hear?
Privilege. We talked about this point yesterday, and what you're alluding to there is actually white privilege. Black people don't enjoy it. And I'm not giving up any privilege, not a single bit of privilege. But I will insist that all human beings are so privileged, and that includes Kaepernick. And if he wants to wear a Kunta Kinte shirt, good for him.
So at what point are you following this story? Now you're really angry because of what's happening to your relaxation sport, your football. This must be maddening.
I'm so pissed, and not about bro. This guy said he's not giving up any of his privilege, and that's who you invite to the cookout. Are you serious? I mean, because to say I have privilege
is one thing.
I have a special. See, you can't have privilege and then say everybody else has it too, because that makes it not a privilege.
Exactly.
So I mean, I read through his bullshit. It's like, yeah, I got that super white privilege, you know, and I ain't letting go of none of it. Are you people? Are you not hearing him? And what got me pissed off is under the comments of the Terrell Owens video where he's called Stephen A. Called Max blacker than Stephen A. and invited Max to the proverbial cookout. Everybody's like, yeah, Max, he's super woke. Yeah, invite him to the cookout. He can come to my cookout any day. You know what I'm saying? I know he likes seasoned meat. I'm like, are you so... Can I get a woosah, please?
Yes, you can get a woosah anytime you need.
Woosah. 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 Woosah.
Oh, this is great.
Thank you.
This is great.
So, as me, Stephen A. had enough of the cookout. And Max irks him over it.
Colin Kaepernick's people had reached out to numerous folks. I was one of them. They said, he wants to play. It's not fair. He did this for us. All he wants to do now is put this behind him. He wants to play. Will you help us? So it's Rock Nation, it's Jay-Z and the crew, it's the NFL and Roger Goodell who went behind the backs of the executive VPs because they didn't even know about the workout. What happened was he has the workout, and then after the workout, he antagonizes the very commissioner who helped put this together, told him to stop running, showed up with a Kunta Kinte shirt on, you know, essentially it said, well, see, once again, that's why I say you go to that black barbecue all you want to. But let me tell you something right now. You cannot have 31 white owners. You show up with a Kunta Kinte shirt, basically alluding to them as slave owners.
I know, you got to show up with your hat in your hand and beg for the opportunity that's been unrightfully denied.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Because see, after this, you're going to leave, you're going to go home. And see, I got to go in the black community and deal with stuff just because you interrupted me to make that point.
Wow. I'm speechless.
One of these days, Stephen A. Smith is going to put hands on Max.
Yeah.
On that show.
Sounds like shut up. Yeah, he's going a bit far now, Max.
Because he's like, but he does this all the time. He's super duper woke. Super duper woke. And they said, what you supposed to do? Go with your hat in your hand? I mean, he's projecting these things onto Stephen A. Smith, and I don't know if he realizes it or not. He has to be aware because Max is a super intelligent person. So it's like, by you saying that that's what Stephen A. Smith means when he says that, it only makes it worse.
Okay.
So,
now, and this was this past week, these clips?
Yeah, this is Thursday and Friday.
Right.
Thursday was when Thursday is when I decided to do the show, because when I heard the Max is blacker than Stephen A. Smith, I hit my best friend up, and he's my confidant. You know, we talk about like how things are land, and I was like, dude, did you see this crap? And I was like, yep, I got to do a show on this. I got to cover this, because this is some bull job right here.
Well, so you've set us up perfectly for what's coming next, and I can only imagine with all these pieces on the field. I don't know what's happening in football land and what a great moment will be, other than Super Bowl is the only moment I know about. But it seems like we need a Nike campaign, a shoe, and some kind of slogan or something. We need now. He needs to start cashing in. And we know it's not going to be on playing ball.
No, the NFL's, that's why I said the NFL's part of this story is a wrap, because they proved to people that want to see it, Colin Kaepernick doesn't want to play in the NFL because we gave him an opportunity to come showcase his talent. And he pulled this. I mean, his team did what was best for their interest, and their interest is not playing football. It's to be a social justice icon. So I understand it from that standpoint. I don't support it, but I understand what their motives were. And the NFL got what they wanted because they got to say, well, that's done. And now it's just, where does Colin Kaepernick go from here?
Well, exactly. And it's going to be a complicated affair, because so he got paid, he got millions, 1, 2, 3, 20, who cares? 1 million, a lot of money, Mo.
I mean, I told you he signed the deal for what, 126 million.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like he's hurt for money. I mean,
exactly. But Nike is in an interesting spot. So we're going to see, is the NFL the Kunta Kinte of Nike? Because Nike pays a big ass bill for all of this stuff. You know, Nike controls a lot in sports. So if they say, "Hey, Kaepernick's our guy, and we're going to use him for the We Ready campaign or whatever," antagonize the NFL up to the Super Bowl, maybe. I don't know. I don't know anything about the football, but it seems like that would be the move, and I think it's going to be interesting. They're probably all in on it, and just keep the controversy going. Money flows.
The controversy definitely helps Nike, and the NFL really can't fight Nike because they're in bed with them.
Yeah, they already showed the NBA to shut up.
Yeah. So, I mean, Nike is the daddy. Is everybody's daddy.
Yes, Mac Daddy.
Well, and I got this question for you. You might be the answer for me. Now, when we talk about Nike versus the NFL, that's one thing. But when we talk about Nike versus Disney.
Yeah, well, oh, gosh, that's a good one, because Disney, of course, is, you know, the biggest,
the parent company of ESPN,
they're the evil Death Star, man. They're so big. They're so incredibly big, so powerful.
And it's amazing that Shannon Sharp didn't catch any blowback from his identical stance as Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
Stephen A. Smith was labeled a bad guy who works for ESPN, who is the parent company of
daughter company of Disney.
Well, yeah, daughter company of Disney. Yes. So that's where we at.
All right. So what do you think? What do you think's going to happen? What do we look out for?
I think something's going to flare back up again around the Super Bowl time, because Mr. Jay-Z, he's been hired of the event planning for the NFL.
He's like a wedding planner for football.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's a glorified event planner. I mean, let's just be honest here. So I'm sure the woke crowd will have something to say about how he handles that the performances of the NFL.
All right, I'll make a prediction.
Super Bowl.
I'll make a prediction.
Yes,
I'll make one. You will not believe the Nike commercial you'll see during the Super Bowl. That would be my prediction.
Wait 1 minute. Wait 1 minute. I almost slipped something out of here. Okay, so there was a article with the Colin Kaepernick said he's going to schedule another workout this spring, and he's going to take it to wherever the South Florida, where the NFL owners hold their yearly conference at.
But that's after the Super Bowl, right?
That's after the Super Bowl. So I mean, that's they're already planning for next season.
Yeah.
You know, you got to keep the show.
Of course, you got
to keep the Colin Kaepernick show going. I mean,
well, he's got picked up. He's got another season, so he might as well.
Yeah.
The series is doing well. If he can do 3 more years, he can go into syndication and live forever. Wow, Mo, thank you so much for unfolding this. And again, I learned a lot, really, because not just because I'm a white guy, is because I don't know football. And that really, and I took copious show notes, so they'll be in the show notes, which are all linked at mofactz.com. And this was good. Thank you so much. There's a couple people I want to keep my eye on. Is he still with the same girlfriend?
Yes.
Kaepernick? Okay. Keep my eye on her. And she still tweets,
do that.
Or did she stop tweeting? Was she forbidden from tweeting?
Is, she's still working. She still works, and she has an ordinary career on television and radio and other things. So it's just this weird thing that he takes all the action or takes all the brunt of the blows, and then she gets to live her life. I mean, like I said, he to me, he's the useful idiot and a puppet. And so.
And a fantastic outro song for this show, which relates to Kunta Kaepernick. I'm just going to say it on the show. I won't say it anywhere else. It's just between you and me, Mo. That's just between you. Hey, I'm the Stephen A. there. So,
right.
Thank you, Mo. This is great. I cannot wait to do it all over again on Monday.
And F the cookout. So.
Wish I was not invited to. I'll point that out. Thanks, Mo.
You're welcome. And as I always say, pay attention to everything, and the truth will reveal itself.
And we'll be back on Monday. Check us out at mofactz.com and donate.
Puppet on a string. Puppet on a string. Call me a puppet on a string. I'll be his anything. Can't stop loving him.